what we conclude as good or bad is not the ultimate reality. We should remind ourselves that whatever that we conclude as good or bad may not be the ultimate reality. We really have to filter out a lot of biased thinking and a lot of our biased experiences to overcome that illusion. By understanding that, it helps us to see that things are truly empty, meaning that they're neither good nor bad. It's all based on our illusory perceptions. This is what Mr. Chen, he said, the 无记性. It's very neutral. It's neither good nor bad. It is only based on our experiences, our biases, that we conclude good or bad. And so we cannot really trust our sense consciousness. They can fool us. I mean, you see it, something that's blatantly bent, but you know that it's not bent, it's a straight object. We can interpret the situation however we want. We can interpret for the better or the worse. Of course, it's better to see the better side of things for ourselves and others. And of course, we're not saying to trick our mind to see things on the positive side. But if we could objectively look at the situations and learn from it, gain experience from it, then it is worth it. And in any situation, we can always gain from it, even though it may be a negative feedback. It may be true or not true. We can gain from it. If it's true, then we take it, we learn from it, we correct it. If it's not, then we should figure out a way to avoid misunderstanding. Provide the proper inputs and conditions to generate proper desired results. And that's what conditionality is. Emptiness, 空, is 缘起, 因可. Emptiness tells us that by providing the proper inputs and the conditions, we can generate the proper results. So fundamental unclarity leads to unskillful actions, like anger. If we are not clear of why we are concluding as negative or positive, it leads to anger or desire, craving. If we conclude it's a good thing without clarity why it's good, it leads to desire. If we conclude it's negative, it leads to anger. So one becomes increasingly out of touch, not because of one's unskillful activity, but because one insists on holding back from communicating. So you have blocked emotions. You don't communicate, you repress the anger, or you feed this desire, this craving. So how one reacts determines whether one is misled by reality or not. With a negative mindset, and in interacting with that situation, we continue to push the cycle of life and death because we're feeding it through our contacts and feelings. Now, those links, we have contact, it generates feelings. And if we have negative mindset, it will create anger. And that is a form of attachment. It's just a negative form of attachment. On the other hand, with a clear and calm mindset, we are making an exit from the cycle of life and death. And here, when I exit, I don't mean literally exit this cycle and then go elsewhere. But when we exit the cycle of life and death, what it means is that we don't have any fear in dealing with situations. There's a lot of courage and bravery in us in dealing with situations. We are empowered with knowledge because we see things clearly, therefore there's no running away. When I say exit, I think it's an unfortunate translation. Escaping the cycle of life and death, the liberation, it doesn't mean that we're going to another place, but it means that we are empowered to deal with things, to encounter things without fear, without suffering. With attainment of insight into true nature of things, it is impossible for an unskillful mental state to arise in dependence upon a painful feeling. When we face something that is not very pleasant, we don't cause rise to hatred, to again continue to push the wheel of life and death. With feeling, as to whether it sustains attachment to or disentanglement from mundane experience. I'm not saying that feelings is bad. Feelings, it can be a good thing because we use our feelings to encourage ourselves. Oh, this is painful, we should avoid it. This is pleasant, we should use it as a stepping stone for something better, right? So we use our feelings to give us directions, to guide us, but not to be stuck in it. Life is divided into great classes, things that happen to us and things that we do. One is passive, one is active. We can't control what people say and what we hear because our ears are always open. We can't control the kind of feedback they'll provide to us or the words that they choose to say. We cannot control that. But what we control is what do we do after hearing the negative feedback or positive feedback? What do we do? Do we become attached to it or do we have a resentment against it? So this is something that's active rather than passive. What we decide to do with it is an active choice. Do we grow and rise above it? Do we see the opportunity to learn, or do we get trapped in it? And this is emptiness, conditionality. So to close this, in dealing with negative situations, we want to start releasing not just the anger and the pain, but the love and the delight and the appreciation that we have also perhaps repressed for too long. There is delight and appreciation, but we don't show it. We repress it, so that's not good. We don't want to repress negative emotions like anger, but we also don't want to repress appreciation. When we appreciate somebody truly, we want to say that, thank you. Like Mr. Chen yesterday talked about, thank you, I'm sorry, I love you. Those are good things to express. So the positive, once we get to it, is the great dissolver of negative. That's when we sit in meditation, we visualize compassion is to overcome our negativity, negative energy. With a strong meditation practice, if we are not seriously blocked, negative emotions may be dissolved without being consciously experienced at all. And we can start to relate to people powerfully and positively without going through that negative phase. So we don't have to experience pain in order to dissolve our own pain.